Well, while the unexpected GDP numbers out of the U.S. had some concern over the American economy, Peru's GDP is expected to grow more than 6% this year, making it one of South America's so-called new tigers. The country's finance minister, Miguel Castilla, is currently in the U.S. promoting investment and trade. Meanwhile, Peru's free trade deal with Europe is set to go into force on March 1st, and I caught up with Minister Castilla at the New York Stock Exchange and asked him how this trade agreement will impact Peru and Europe.
This is quite important because we're seeing the Europeans looking into countries where to generate revenues and profits. And I think Peru is a place where there is rule of law, there is stable macroeconomically. And so we're having lots of European companies coming into Peru and trying to broaden their operations. We just had the state visit of the Spanish Prime Minister last week in Peru. And we're seeing actually not only higher investment prospects, but also larger flows of immigrants, European immigrants coming to Peru, which is...
Is that because of the European crisis?
Yes, and that's the reverse of what happened. 10 years ago was the opposite picture. We had Peruvians leaving the country. Now we have Peruvians coming back to Peru, and we have Europeans coming into our country, which is something new, and I think it's quite telling of the progress that we've made over the past few years.
Well, you were recently at the World Economic Forum in Davos. What was your major takeaway from that?
My major takeaway is that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but still there's a rocky way out of the crisis, particularly Europe. Reforms need to be put in place. And I think politicians should be more responsible and not act at the brink as they are doing here and elsewhere.
So as a politician, what kind of responsibility do you advocate and do you see taking yourself?
We need to be more responsible and be able to take tough decisions with sometimes important costs. At the end of the day, thinking that that's the only way to restore confidence and to have our economies grow, which is what will lead to better benefits for the whole population.
Well, speaking of decisive actions, one of the issues that's facing Peru is the appreciation of the local currency, the sol, versus the dollar. Are you planning on any intervention there to facilitate the export market?
Well, that's something of importance. We've done our calculations, and our real exchange rate is not is aligned to its equilibrium level, but we are worried that it will to a massive appreciation, which would tend to have a negative effect in our real economy. For that, we're working together in a coordinated manner with the central bank. We intend to prepay debts that we have. We intend to be more active in the dollar market, purchasing dollars, but we are rejecting any sort of capital controls. We're trying to also increase the size of our sovereign wealth fund that we have, investing government monies overseas, to be able to put less pressure on the exchange rate.
Other than the mining exports, is there any other particular sector in the Peruvian economy that you think is set to boom?
Well, we have mining as the main one, but we are beginning to add value to our natural resources. We have a thriving agro-industrial exporting sector. We export apparel and garment at high niche markets. We have a very strong fish meal and fish products industry. And we are trying to export services. I think that's a new area. Peru as a center of call centers. And this is part of diversification efforts that the economy is set to go into. We need to diversify, obviously, and to leverage upon our natural resources.
Now, you have the distinct honor of being named the best finance minister in Latin America by America Economica in 2012. And last October, you were also named Latin America's Finance Minister of the Year by the London-based publication Emerging Markets. So how do you expect to live up to these titles?
Maybe it's time to step down. No, I'm very glad. I'm very motivated. I think these are recognitions of not only of one person's job, but also a whole team and continuity in policies. I think Peru, if one looks back the previous 10 or 12, 15 years, we've had continuity in maintaining strong fundamentals. And I think this is a recognition to good policy and good management.